My name is Justyna, and probably as most of you, I was kind of like a very creative child. But unfortunately, I became like a less creative adult. And my question here today is like, why is that? Why it happens to so many people? Once we are getting older and older, we are losing this amazing ability of thinking, outside of the box, of breaking all the limits. And it's not only me. I've seen it many, many, many times. I've seen hundreds of people coming for conferences, trainings, to find ways to be like more creative. One of the reasons that is actually shown in researches is that once we get more and more expertise in the different areas, we lose kind of this ability of thinking. Why? Because we follow patterns, we already have knowledge, we have experience. And I'm not saying that this is bad, yeah? This is great, we are growing. But at the same way, our creativity is going in kind of like hibernation. And I will share a perfect example that's actually a story of my brother. When he was 12 years old, he got a homework. It was to write a poem. And one thing that you have to know about my brother, he was kind of a sneaky. I was always jealous because I was like this hard-working person, but he always found a way to make things like, smarter. So what he've done, he got to the school, he stood in the middle of a class, like I do right now, and he said, "Silence. Thank you, Marek Pindel." Unfortunately, his performance was misunderstood by a teacher. She took it as a joke, and she told him that he has to redo the homework. For me, it's kind of like a sad story, because it was the example of really thinking beyond the box and of being like super, super creative. And very often I see it at workshops or with the startups that I've been working with, that they're afraid to say crazy ideas because they're afraid to actually be judged. So today, I would like to check your ways of thinking. Underneath your chair, you can find a piece of paper with a simple puzzle. For those who are sitting in the back and don't have it nicely typed, be careful, be gentle. It took me almost an hour. If someone needs and doesn't have, they're over here. Oh, you don't have, sorry. I'll just give one here. Yeah. Yes, please be gentle. Does someone need a pen? OK, so pens are over here. We can just pass the pens over there. Could you please pass? Unfortunately, I'm not the author of the puzzle. Don't start yet. Please wait for everyone to have a pen. I'm not the author of this puzzle. This puzzle was invented at the beginning of 19th century and got really popular in the 60s by a lot of psychologists and inventors. It is kind of like a brain teaser. So now I would give you like 2 to 3 minutes, depending on the frustration on your face that I will see, to try to solve the puzzle. And one rule, there's only one rule from me. You cannot ask me any question. Everything is written down there. OK, I will look at the time. Good luck. I'm sure you are doing great. I hear some laughs over there. Okay. Let's say 1 more minute, because I see already some kind of frustrations, and I don't want you to hate my talk because of the puzzle. You can also try to solve it later on, like on the boat. Maybe some kind of percentage will unleash some creativity. OK, let's move here. I've seen some sneaky people there. OK, I think that that's enough of torturing you. And just to make you feel kind of better, I was doing this experiment over the last few weeks with my friends and family, whoever was like visiting me. So they were like kind of like you today. And one of the very common observations was that after a few seconds, they became frustrated and they started asking questions. How many of you had the temptation to ask, can I go outside of the box? How many of you thought like, this is not the complete instruction, yeah? You know, you are just getting like more and more ideas on what rules could we apply there, yes? What is the structure of that task? And as you can see, people tried many times. Some of them became so frustrated that decided to make like a nice gift. A few people got 5 because they've decided that actually getting 5 is better than getting nothing, yes? It's like, it's still good to go, yes? We are not on the time of the delivery, but we are just late like 1 week, yeah? It's not a big deal. But the most popular one, and it was not only in my group of friends and family, but in other researchers, was this one, the 4th one, like a triangle with a straight line. And funny, like my friend who is a designer, actually she interpreted this in a little bit different way and just create like this shape. And you can argue, are they linked or not, yeah? But what if I tell you that some of the people got 3? Can you imagine making 3? Huh? This I'm proud because actually it was my brother. As an engineer currently, he just quickly like ran to my wardrobe, took like, you know, those pens and started to do it. It took him a few hours, to be honest. It took him a few hours. It was not 2 minutes. But what if I tell you that there are people who get 1, as our friend over there? Wait a second. And when we look at some researchers, and you can also Google that, the people who get 1 are mostly children. This 9 dots puzzle, yeah, yeah, a friend over there, he got 1, yeah? You will show it in a second. But actually, there have been researchers with children who are doing this puzzle, and they were getting it faster and with less lines, mostly because they didn't want to ask for the rules. They were not living in this, you know, society that when we get a task, first we look for obstacles, yeah? They immediately like, jump to the challenge. They were not like so much afraid to fail. I've seen like some of you were like looking if other person already has it or no, because it would feel bad if I don't have it and my boss is sitting next to me, yes, and he already have it. Or the other way around. You as an employee has it and the boss is just struggling, yeah? How would that make you feel? So how to get 1? This is actually my friend who is a poet. And she got the puzzle just through WhatsApp. So she didn't have this piece of paper like you, so she's done it that way. But one of the things that a lot of children were doing, they were just having like a huge pen and just smash like, you know, 1 straight line. Yeah, does it work? Are they linked? Yeah, 1 straight line. But one of the things that I've seen on the internet, I haven't seen in my friends or family groups, is this, that you can also make origami. And a guy over here, what's your name? Yeah, can you just show what you've done? Yeah, yeah. Because no one said that you cannot destroy the paper, yeah? It was some kind of the things that you just got into your head. So actually the name that this 9-dot puzzle got later on is thinking outside of the box. This is like the exercise to help people to think outside of the box. Don't look at obstacles, just look at the solutions. So, why design thinking and creativity on Agile on the beach? I guess some of you wonder that, and me too, to be honest. But the thing is, like, we all build some kind of the products, and we all want to be better, be more innovative. And we don't have to pay a lot of money in actually trainings and using like sophisticated tools. Because as you can see, you already have the whole skill set as a children, yes? You just have to get back there and look what you could do. And funny thing, over the last years, whenever I was doing some design thinking workshops with business or tech people, I was getting a lot of resistance at the beginning because they were saying, oh God, I'm a developer. I'm a serious person. I'm not going to do some design thing, yeah? I will leave design for, you know, other people who are designers, yes? Or why creativity? This is for business and art industry. It's not for me. But one sneaky way that I found over that time is like when I renamed the name of the workshop to 5 stages to build better products, they were, delighted. They didn't have this resistance at the beginning, yeah? Because they've seen like better product, not like design word. So sometimes you have to be creative even in those things. But most important, I think we are all designers. I'm not a designer. I can't draw. I'm not good at music and any of those things. But we are also designers as Scrum Masters. We create experience for our team members, yes, for our colleagues. As product owners, we are responsible for creating experience for people who use the product, for making sure that our team knows what they are doing. We constantly have some kind of the designing experience. Even today at the conference, all of the organizers, they are designers. They design our experience. From the moment we get here, we've seen all the signs that actually led us through the registration, helped us to find accommodation. So as you can see, by thinking that we design our reality, we can get better and better business result. And this guy, he doesn't look like a designer, yeah? Right now, when we think about designers, we have this image of like a kind of a hipster with glasses, some kind of like a crazy person. But actually, this gentleman from UK is known for many, many great things and designs. And even though that he was working in 19th century, I think that he was a design thinker because he was bringing some innovative idea. But the biggest one was actually this. He decided that he wants to build integrated transportation system that will enable passenger in London, I think, to get on the train and get out on the ship in New York. And as you can see, this is some kind of like design thinking. This is the problem solving. This is the innovation that you wouldn't expect like, more than 100 years ago. And as I've told you, design is not just what we see, beautiful app interface, fashion, art, music. It's actually what we do every day when we design experience for other people. So I'm kind of against all of like very sophisticated design thinking trainings because I think, as I've told you at the beginning, that you all have the skills. But why design thinking and knowing some basic can help you? The first thing, if you are a creative person, it can help you just to boost your creativity, yes? Because I'm sure that sometimes you get at the point that you think, I cannot do more, yes? That I'm just like stuck, I have great ideas, I'm creative, I bring innovative product, I disrupt market. And you think that we are here. What you don't know, it's like you can be even higher. But for less creative people, this is actually perfect set of tools that can help them actually to practice or to face the challenge. And some of the people were telling me that design thinking is not for me because I'm not a designer. But I always use this definition, that this is actually a problem-solving process. So it's not only for designers, but to narrow down the definition, it's for people with problems. And I guess some of you might have some problems. And why is it to solve the problems? Because back from the school experience, I think, at least that was my experience, I learned that I have a limited set of choices, yes? That if I face a challenge or a problem, I can go for A, B, C, and D. Yes, that's my limit with options. But design thinking, it helps you actually, as you've seen, to look outside of the box and bring some more choices. So whenever you are frustrated and you are like stuck, you can just find some another ways to deal with it. And I find it extremely useful in like everyday life when you are just annoyed with some little things on your way to work, that you just can find better ways to use your energy than being annoyed. So what do you need? Not a lot, just your brain, empathy. I think it was said so many times during this conference. But if you don't have it yet, it's hard. It's not like you just wake up and say, OK, today I will be empathic. No, it's something that you build. Time, and no ego required. Because as you can see, during this little puzzle, some of you probably felt a little bit anxious, like, what if I fail, yeah? What if I don't do it like correctly and my neighbor already done it, yeah? So ego sometimes can limit our way of creative thinking. And the other very important thing is that I think that most of your organizations are already using design thinking process. They maybe don't call it like that, because who would need like a fancy name? And what we tend to see, it's like developers, they say, we are agile, yeah? We work on sprints. Product teams say, we are lean. And then design say, oh, we are design thinkers, yeah? But what they don't see is actually that they use the same structures, that they have pretty the same assumptions, that what we value is like a continuous delivery, continuous improvement, the value of feedback, the importance of establishing all those feedback loops. That instead of building big, waterfall products, we can just push a little bit and to see how the market responds. And all of those three things have the same assumptions. But really, I've seen it many times in software houses that I was working with, that they were like kind of distinguishing those three things. They couldn't see that they are all doing the same. But I'm showing it to you just to let you know that today's tools might be just useful for you to improve, to make already the process that you have kind of slightly better. And it's not like a big transformation that now will be like design thinking organization, yes? And no, it's not like that. It's just about the small, simple ways to improve. So we start with design thinking. And right now, we'll just go through 5 stages. And I will use my work example just to show you how you can do it. But one thing that you have to be aware of is that we'll go one by one to make it easier for you, but it's not the linear process, yes? If you already have the product, it doesn't mean that you have to forget about everything that you have, no. You can just choose like some of the tools that can help you to improve. So I will have a sip of water. Let's imagine. I was working in a software house. It was kind of a small one, and we used to call it software home, because we were saying that we are creating MVPs, but minimum lovable products, not viable. And actually, we were getting a lot of entrepreneurs who had those 1 billion ideas. Some of them, they wanted to build Facebook for cats. And our job was tell them that, nah, it might be not the best idea. But one of them was pretty spectacular. He was a 50-something years old man from US. He was a non-tech person, and he was a huge dreamer. He wanted to disrupt American trucking industry. So as you can imagine, me at that time, 20-something, I never been in the United States. I've seen trucks only on the road. I didn't have too much to actually do. But what could we do? What could we do when this client came to us? The first one is we could take money and do it completely, our way, yes? That we could think okay, we know how Uber works, so now instead of people, they will pick up loads, yeah? Copy, paste, work, job done, money on our account, perfect. The second idea is that you can do it completely his way. He's the client, he pays you, yes? So why don't just do it, yeah? Let's trust him, he knows what he wants. But unfortunately, I've seen it many times that they can finish kind of like that way, because you build the wrong product or you waste his money because you solve the problem that he has. And at the end, he would say oh, but if you knew better, why you didn't tell me? Yeah? Why you just done it my way? You should have told me, A lot of these things. So luckily, what we've done with this trucking industry case is we try to put it into design thinking process. And we didn't spend on this months and, I don't know, so much money. We just try to make it as simple as possible, because we're just a little software house. So the first one is to is actually empathize. It's to understand that it's not about you. And to be honest, that was kind of like the hardest one for me, because I had my sense of aesthetics, yes? I was working in different industries. I had these ideas on how this app should look like, yeah? But what I really didn't know at that time was like my personal preferences might cost some people life. And I know that it might sound like far-fetched, like, yeah, life, your design, yeah? What does it mean? But the thing is, like, imagine if you're on the road in this big, big truck, and you have your phone here and the app, and you misclick, and it takes your attention from the road, there are really a lot of bad things that can happen at that time. So we really had to understand, and it was not only me, but all developers, QA, designers, that it's not if we like this application, it's all about the users that are going to use it, and we have to trust what they are saying. So there are a lot of tools that you can do it, and I've heard already at the conferences that some of the people were saying about personas, but just to make sure that we are all at the same page, how many of you know what is persona? Okay, so for those who don't know, I will just give a simple example. It's kind of like a psychological portrait of the person that you are going to solve the problem for. So if you are going to buy a gift for your mother-in-law, it doesn't matter if you will like it. What matters is that she will love it. So what you can do, you can just picture her and think like, okay, what is her age, yeah? What she likes, what she dislikes, yeah? What are her motivations, what are her goals, yeah? Like you try to gather this, understanding of the person that we are going to design experience for. Maybe it's a good exercise to do when you think about your boss or very annoying colleague, yeah? Like, why he behaves like that, yeah? And then you try to like picture this person and gather different insights, and it will help you to have better understanding. So in that case, first we tried to create those personas by ourselves, like what we think. Then we were watching a lot of documentaries about the truckers. Then we asked our client if he could put us with those people in touch. And actually, that was extremely funny for me to have those interviews via Skype, because their English was first completely different than mine. And then they were so surprised that someone is asking them questions, yeah? That someone cares about their work and their life. But you can always go like one step deeper. And this is actually the empathy math. It's like when you already picture this person, when you know Nick, yes, there was Nick in the previous slide, and you know that Nick is 31 years old, and he is like a new father. He has a family, but he has to spend time on the road, yeah? So it's not like he breaks speed limits because he wants to show off. It's like because he wants to be with his family. So you try to think even more about Nick, yeah? And one of the powerful things that we started to doing in the previous company was like we put on the paper, put on the wall, posters with those people with those personas, for example, yeah? So whenever we had stand-up and someone was telling about improvements that they've done, we asked, okay, but would Nick like it? Would Nick understand it, yeah? So this kind of like putting the user in your mind can really help you to have human-centered products. So once you already know Nick and you know what he needs, you can start to think about the problem. And why is that? Because many times when the clients comes to us, they want to solve their problem or the problem that they tend to see. But maybe actually those users don't have this problem. Maybe it's not so painful to solve. So what you can do, what you can do. Actually, I really value all the interviews. And it doesn't take a lot of money to conduct interviews with your users. You just have to find them. And human interactions and seeing how many things they can tell you, it's really, really the most valuable thing. So actually, we were doing a lot of interviews, but we put some structure into it. Because, and as you can imagine, if someone for the very first time asks you about your problem, you don't even know where to start, yeah? You start like saying like so many things. So we used a very simple thing, which is actually asking 5 times question why. Yeah? So if, for example, you see that your team is not delivering on time, maybe instead of jumping into solution and hire new developer and new QA, you can just ask them, OK, but why you are not on time? And then they will say, because there have been a lot of business requests that we didn't plan to work on, but then they appear. It was like $1 million deal, and we had to do it. And then you ask, OK, but why do those requests come to you? Because probably maybe they didn't know that we have so many things to do. And then you ask, OK, but why they didn't know? I don't know. Maybe because we don't have any visualization. And then again, why you don't have any visualization? Because we are too busy. Yeah? Just asking and looking for the source of the problem can really, really help you. So actually, through those interviews, we got to know that they have the special kind of language, that what are the biggest problem, what are their fears, what are actually the obstacles to use the app on the road. So we gathered this big understanding. And based on that, you can always make like a problem statement. But of course, you don't have to do it like on the paper. It's good just to have it in your head. What is the current state, and what is the desired stage that you would like to get? And then you can make it kind of even more sophisticated. You can look at this problem from different perspectives, like from the user perspective, like I am a driver and I'm trying to make some money, and et cetera, et cetera. Or from more like a user research perspective, like actually being a tracker is a kind of a lifestyle, yeah? I didn't know before that this is one of the most popular profession in US, and what does it mean? So you can like gather even more data, as many as you need. It depends on the context. I always say about design thinking and all the tools that they are kind of like cooking. You just mix what you need. And if your dinner tastes delicious, no one really cares if you boiled broccoli for 10 or like 15 minutes. So what next? We already know Nick. We understood his problem. So now let's jump into solutions and how we were doing it. The first thing, like we tried to, of course, engage our client, so he felt like attached, that it's not just our idea on how to solve that problem. We're working that also with our team. But very important thing is actually from the beginning of the presentation to don't limit yourself into those options A, B, C, and D, but just to listen even the craziest ideas, because you have no idea how they can turn up. And there's another very simple tool that you don't have to do it on paper. You can just do it in your head whenever you are facing the problem. It's a Walt Disney method. And I'm sure that most of you know that Walt Disney was a kind of like innovator, that he built his empire based on his creativity and his strategic thinking. And a lot of people look at what he was doing, and they've created this kind of the funnel for ideas. It has 3 simple stages. The first one, it's a phase of dreamer. When you think like sky's the limit. There are no money restrictions, there are no time constraints. Whatever we want to do, we can do. So we are just in this kind of the mood, yeah? And then you get idea, OK, so if they don't have enough money and time with their family, let's just give them, yeah? Let's just give them money, and maybe let's just give them more holidays, even though that is not your place to do it. But then you think from the critic perspective. You just filter it and say, like, OK, but what is there for us? What is there for our business? Yeah? How can we benefit out of that? You look for those kind of the weak spots in this idea. And then finally, when you have this idea after the critic phase, you go to realistic and you think, OK, so actually, what could I do with that? Yeah? What are the actionable ideas that I can do within the budget and time constraints? And I had this example a month ago with a group of technical writers, and they had the problem that inside their organization there was a lot of people who are quitting jobs, yeah, and they have a huge turnover. And how would you solve it? And the funny thing, like in the dreamer stage, they said, okay, let's have like a Prosecco machine, yeah? Like, okay, every company is like coffee machine, but we'll have like, Prosecco, like just to boost some energy every day to, have a different atmosphere, yeah? So they get from like this dreamer idea of a Prosecco little truck inside their office to like actually that they don't eat maybe like they don't eat breakfast together, and they can do somehow stand-ups with the breakfast, because as we all know, and I think was said also yesterday on Gwen Talks, people like free food, yeah? And sometimes it's not so expensive to make it for them. But what I really want you to take out of the Walt Disney method, it's like if you have any people around you who are very critical or who are very dreamers, use them. Whenever you have idea, just go to them and just tell them, and they will give you like 100 weak spots of your idea. But thanks to that, you can actually get into realistic and make it doable. So what to do later? Prototype, yeah? Have something little that you can test. And I think that all of you already know how does it work. But in that case, we knew that using actually digital software to gather their feedback would be very painful, because they wouldn't understand, different products that we will use to gather their feedback. So we've done something different. We started a lot of drawings. We were sending them just scan of the ideas for logos. As you can see, they are not perfect. And they didn't have to be perfect because they didn't care so much about any design. But they were just, giving us feedback like, but this logo looked like, the different logo of the company that we didn't know that even exists, yeah? So with such a minimal effort, we're getting such a valuable feedback. Or for example, our first simple wireframes that we're just, sending them were just on paper, and they were sending us back those scans. And later we've prepared, of course, design that we could put on the website to show that we already have that product, of course, even that we didn't have that product, but just to get even more feedback. And that was also a good idea, and it's always a good idea to kind of pretend. It's not about cheating. It's about, showing them what they could get out of you and see if they would like it. We've done also pretty cool animations with the things that just to get their attention. And behind it, there was no backend, of course. We were using fake data just to, head the cost pretty down, because as I told you, it was a small software house. But once you have all of those prototypes, what you can do is to test. And again, don't listen to your ego, listen to your users. What we've done here, it's this was the most expensive thing that we've done in this project, and I'm happy that we've done it. A core team, just 2 people actually, they went to United States for a trucking show. And as you can imagine, there have been a lot of people with problems out there. And they were pretty happy, yeah. And they got a lot of, And they got a lot of feedback from them. And that was just an example from my work experience. But I will just quickly show you a few more examples that actually happen in our industries. So basically, how many of you had MRI scan? Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Good. I had it too, and I have to say, for me, as an adult person, it was kind of the terrifying experience. Even though that I do a lot of crazy things for adrenaline, it was horrible. So imagine, how does it feel for a child? How does it feel for a parent that have to get there, keep the child calm down and help them? And how long does it take to have a proper scan for a child who is constantly moving? So actually, GE Digital, they understood the human-centered design. And they've decided, okay, what if we design each of the room like a like a kind of like a play, yeah? like a cartoon, that those children are coming there not to get like a medical checkup, but actually to have fun. And then you cannot move because this is like a silence kingdom, yeah? And if you move, they will hear that you are there, yeah? And those kind of the things, putting children in that mood really help them to get through it faster. It makes the whole process more efficient, yeah? As you can imagine, it brought also a lot of money for them, saving. They could feed more children out there. There's a video, but I think we don't have time. I look over there. OK, there's 5 minutes, we don't have time, but I will upload presentation later on so you can actually learn more. Another great example of people who are not designers, but create extremely interesting experience. How many of you have children? OK. So for those who have children, imagine that your child lost their favorite teddy bear. They lost it. And you come back from holidays, and they are furious, yeah? And that happened to one of the family in the United States. They lost a teddy bear. They lost this lovely giraffe. And they were calling to different places to try to find where she is. And then they find out that the child just left it at the hotel. And what the service at the hotel could do, they could say, yeah, we will ship it, and they never do. Or they could just ship it. But what they've done, they created like a photo album of this giraffe showing that she was just on holidays, yeah? She was just on holidays, and now she's back to you. And none of those people were designers. They were just the people who were working at that hotel. But they just got this crazy idea. And as you can imagine, for the business value, this is one of the most popular examples of design thinking and creativity on the internet. How many clients it got for them, yeah? It's amazing. OK, one more, and then we'll just finish. Maybe any of you had experience that you tried to call to some customer support. Yeah, someone tried to call to customer support? Yeah, yeah. Were you successful? Yeah, so, exactly. So that was actually what happened to this music band. Their guitars, they got broken on the way, I think, to Chicago. And they tried to get refund, and they couldn't. They were like constantly sending to the different customer service. But what they've done, instead of like sending those emails and fighting with them, they actually created a song. So I will just play for a few seconds so you can have the feeling of a song.
United Airlines on my way to Nebraska. The plane departed Halifax, connecting in Chicago's O'Hare. While on the ground, a passenger said from the seat behind me, "My God, they're throwing guitars out there."
You can sing if you want.
Best described as terror at the action on the tarmac, and knowing whose projectiles these would be.
Yeah. So I guess you've seen it sometimes from the window in the airplane.
Three employees who showed complete indifference towards me. United breaks guitars.
OK, that's all for that. So as you can see, you can fight the customer service in the different ways. OK, wait, I just want to skip the slide. I can't. OK, so thank you very much. If you will have any questions, you can just stay here and come to me, because I guess it's close to like a coffee break, and I don't want to keep like everyone when only one person has questions. So if you have questions, come to me, or if you'd like to talk about pandas also, it's always welcome. Okay, thank you very much.